welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I am Devin.
I'm Dan.
Welcome to 2021. This is our first, both of us recording episode for the new year. Hooray!
Yeah,
How
indeed.
are you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool because we started, I know maybe I mentioned it, but like we started the show back in 2017 in September. But still, it's like, it's been like 3 years. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're still doing it.
We're still going, yeah.
No one can stop us now.
Yeah.
Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was, trying to
Safe?
obey all the lockdown and keep it safe.
Same. Did you get any good gifts?
Sure. Who doesn't?
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Oh.
No.
No, I don't know. Well, one that I was really looking forward to is I got The Watchmen on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
The HBO show, so I want to do a good watch through with that and with some of the extras and stuff.
That's cool. I haven't seen it yet. Just that one episode when we were at your house.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I got a couple books. So I got Stepford Wives, Rosemary's Baby, which are both by IR11, and I already read Stepford Wives, and it's so much better than any of the movies that they made.
Well, that's not too shocking.
It's really good. It's a short read, too. It's only like 100 pages.
Right.
Then, so an anime I think I've mentioned on the show before that I really like is Girls Bravo, which is like a reverse harem, and it was on Netflix like 5 years ago, but it hasn't been on for a while.
Oh, weird.
So Tony got it for me on Blu-ray.
Nice.
But we quickly found out that what we watched on Netflix was a highly censored version of the show.
Oh, really?
It's like low-key porn.
That's not shocking.
It was it was shocking because it did not match what I remembered it being like this kind of like cute like not a reverse harem, a harem anime because it's a guy and then lots of girls around him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it kind of just being cute and like a little bit silly and like, I mean, a lot of them have big boobs, but it was like nothing too shocking. But it is the DVD version or the Blu-ray version is very shocking. There's like full frontal nudity. There's an episode with an octopus that I did not remember. It gets very graphic. Anyways, I know that I've talked about it on the show before, so if anybody went and watched it after my recommendation and then they saw that, I'm very sorry.
Or they're like, wow, this is way more extreme than I was led to believe.
They're like, wow, Devin just watches straight up porn all the time. Yeah, it was a good Christmas. I had a lot of fun.
Nice. That's funny.
Yeah, I'll end it to you if you want. Yeah, it's so much more of a degenerate show than I thought it was. But anyways, I guess we'll get right into it.
Yeah.
This is our 2020 wrap-up show where we're going to talk about movies and TV shows that we watched in 2020. Correct?
Yeah, I also have some other stuff like some books and some comics I wanted to mention and stuff. So.
Oh, yeah. I didn't write down any books. I just wrote down movies and TV shows.
Well, it's all good. I'm sure something will come to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could talk about podcasts because I listen to a lot of those, but...
I have a few written down as well.
Nice. Where do you want to start?
I figure movies is always the best, and like I said, it's short because we couldn't go to the theater.
Very true.
Yeah.
I had a hard time remembering what I saw this year. I don't know if you're in the same boat.
Well, like I said, I do and I don't because like I watch a lot of stuff, but then usually for the stuff for the show, like I try to track it just so when we do a wrap up or if I can refer to some notes, then I'm like, oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, you're smarter than me. I looked for a list of movies online,
mm-hmm.
and even though it was 2020 and like nothing came out, I still found a list with like 9,000 entries in it. And after about 4 pages, I was like, yeah, this is good enough.
Yeah, I usually focus on just like what did I see in theater. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff that released on streaming services because of the pandemic and stuff. So, but it was like my in theater list is 4 movies that we did episodes on, which is Jumanji. Or no, we didn't do one on 1917, Birds of Prey, and Tenet,
Didn't
and then that was
Jumanji
it.
come out in 2019?
Well, maybe it was like late 2019.
Yeah,
like
I think it came out December 2019, so that doesn't count.
Well, maybe I saw it in January because I have it written down in there. I don't know. I know I saw it in 1917 in January.
Okay.
Yeah, which was amazing. If you haven't seen it, anybody, highly recommend viewing.
I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to spite you.
Fair enough. And then I have mentioned before, maybe, anyway, I was trying to catch up on some classic cinema, and I just wanted to bring up, I finally watched Citizen Kane.
Oh, nice.
It was interesting watching it because, of course, it's touted like, it's one of the best movies ever made, blah, 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 blah. And it is, but of course, it's decades ago. But it was interesting that there was so much like there was a lot of like modern craft in his 1942 movie that either didn't get carried over further into cinema or it's still like what we use today. So that was kind of interesting as a perspective. It was still like an enjoyable story, well-made movie and everything, but I thought it was interesting in that because in the 60s especially, like movies would linger on like nothing and forever. And you're like, what is even happening to now? Like to like now watching it. But even Citizen Kane didn't have as much of that as like you maybe would think. So that's what was surprising. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty well made for like even by now standards. So yeah, it was good.
It's known as one of the best movies of all time for a reason, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's just it was also funny watching it because the character Kane, he's a terrible dude. You're like, oh, this guy is a horrible person, and everything he did was terrible, like from a humanitarian point, especially.
Nice.
Yeah. Because he like buys a newspaper and just starts making shit up, and like forces
he buys the newspaper company.
Well, he actually owns one because he's like a rich guy, right?
Okay.
And he's like a rich playboy, and it turns out he owns a newspaper, and his like the bank is kind of his guardian, and they're like, hey, you should like do something legit. You keep getting kicked out of schools and blah blah blah. And then he's like, oh, I own a newspaper. I'll try that out. And then he just starts making things up and forcing his workers to work, and trying to like screw them over, and then he tries to run for governor and it manipulates the media again. Like literally he holds up a thing showing that there was voting fraud. I was like, oh god.
Oh no, it's too topical.
It's way too topical. Yeah. But anyway, so it is a great movie. But like I said, and Extraction I spoke about as well on the show, which was enjoyable. But for me, I guess 1917 was the best theater movie for me last year.
Nice. It beat out Tenet. I know you really liked Tenet.
I really do like Tenet, but I thought 1917, there was just, it was more tight and there was a lot of tension because of the story.
Right. Yeah. I wrote down some movies that came out this year on streaming.
Yeah.
So I've got Tenet. Obviously, we did an episode on it. I couldn't hear anything. That's basically my summary of that. And then I watched The Happiest Season. Have you heard of this?
I'm not.
So it's a Christmas movie, like about lesbians. So it's like a Christmas romance movie, but it's and it's starring what's her name from Twilight?
Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, Kristen Stewart, this other lady, and Aubrey Plaza's in it. The guy from Schitt's Creek, David from Schitt's Creek, is in it. Eugene Levy's son, Dan Levy. There we go. Sorry. But it's a cute movie. It's about a lesbian couple goes to her parents' house for Christmas, and she's not out yet, so they think it's just her friend, not her girlfriend, and things go interestingly. But I liked it. It was really cute. It's nice to have some diversity
in romance movies.
Yeah. Did it have like, were like, say for the parents, were they like cliche, like all up in arms, or they're like, oh, cool?
So the kind of story was, what's her name was in it too? Alison Brie
Oh yeah.
from
Wow,
Community. That's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite the cast. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so her dad was running for mayor
Mm-hmm.
or city council or something like that, and she was the smart one, and then her older sister was, I guess, the family oriented one, and then her middle sister or youngest sister was the weird one.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad needed to get some funding to become mayor, so he was kind of like showing his daughters off that way, and the person he needed money from was really conservative.
Right.
But also, like, the family was a little bit conservative. So her dad was, I don't want to spoil anything for people, but ends up coming out in a very inconvenient way for the family.
Mm.
And it's kind of forced upon her. So her dad kind of reacts poorly at first, but then he comes around.
Okay. Yeah.
Without spoiling too much of the story. But it was cute. I really liked it. I would recommend it. It's kind of told from Kristen Stewart's perspective.
Cool.
As the, like, she's not the one that... she's a girlfriend, not the one coming out to the parents.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. I saw Enola Holmes, which we talked about in our Sherlock Holmes episode.
Yeah.
Which was, like, mediocre, but I probably would have liked it if I was 10.
Yeah.
And Birds of Prey, which we have an episode on. I liked it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've rewatched it, and there's a lot I like, and then there's stuff I don't like about it. But overall, I do like it.
Yeah.
But I think it's mainly because I really do enjoy the charisma of Margot Robbie, Elizabeth Winstead, and I don't know her name, but the girl who plays Black Canary. They were good.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was a good cast.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor was great as a bad guy, too.
Yeah, I thought he did some good hamming up.
He was very hammy.
Yeah.
The next movie I saw was I'm Thinking of Ending Things,
Mm-hmm.
which is the same director that did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, and you spoke about this one on the show as well, if I recall.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the less I like it.
Oh, bummer.
It kind of bugs me that, I don't know, a lot of things about it bug me, but, like, I think mainly that you're presented this movie and you're like, this is your main character, which is the girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then, spoilers, you find out she's not even real. She's a figment of his imagination.
Right.
She gets no resolution. I don't know. It's just weird. It feels like there's nothing overtly, like, misogynistic, but it feels very misogynistic. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Something about it just bugs me. It grates me the wrong way. And I don't know. I just didn't really like it. And it sucks because I really, really like Eternal Sunshine on the Spotless Mind. I think it's a good way to show that, like, relationships are not just one thing. Like, they're not all bad and they're not all good, and that people who are usually good or nice or whatever can sometimes make choices that hurt you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I preferred that movie to this one.
Sure, but I mean...
And so I'm not a film bro, so, like, maybe if I was, I'd like it more. Like, Jay from Red Letter Media, who I consider to be a film bro, really liked it.
Yeah, but, you know, sometimes that's art. You might not enjoy some piece of work from the same person. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like I'm Thinking of Ending Things was pointless.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you've watched it, but
I have not.
It seemed pointless. Anyways, moving on. Bill and Ted Face the Music, which we talked about on the show.
Yeah, and you really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think out of everything I watched this year, it was either the movie I enjoyed the most or
the movie I enjoyed the second most. Like, I just really, it wasn't the best made movie. It wasn't the most artistic movie, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah. I also watched Eurovision starring Will Ferrell.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
100% do not recommend watching it. It's very stupid. I didn't laugh. There's some beautiful shots of Iceland, so if you wanted to watch it on mute while you're doing something else, maybe that's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But you could probably just find a 2-hour compilation of shots of Iceland on YouTube if that's why you're watching it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of Earth episode that they talk about Iceland would have all the vistas.
Yeah, because it reminded me a little bit of Blades of Glory.
Mm.
But also, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know what it reminded me. It's like two tryhards doing a thing. I don't know. It just wasn't good. Some people really liked it. I'm not one of those people.
It's fair enough. Because Blades of Glory is highly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, there's some cringe when you rewatch it now, but there's still a lot of funny parts. So then I also watched Princess Switched Again. There's a whole episode on that if you want to know my thoughts and my conspiracy theories. The Babysitter 2, which again I mentioned in our Halloween episode, but that is tied for like most entertaining movie of the year for me with Bill and Ted, because I just really like McG movies.
Yeah, you really enjoyed the Babysitter series.
They're so good. They're so weird. I don't know. It's got Satanism. It's funny. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah, it's classic Satanic Panic stuff. Do you know, are they planning on making another, or?
I don't think so, but I would watch it if they did.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, you know how we were trying to do a Christmas Chronicles episode?
Yes.
And I couldn't watch it because there's like 100 people in my house. There wasn't 100 people that somebody had to come stay with us because of Corona. So I had no control over my TV, but I watched about half of, or not even half, maybe 20 minutes of the first one. And the brother is the guy from The Babysitter.
Yes, I remember talking about that. And I did watch those two movies. I didn't mention them for the show, but yeah, Kurt Russell, he's so good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what I watched in 2020 that came out this year.
Nice.
For movies. I guess we should move on to shows?
Yeah, I got some shows listed here.
All right, you go first.
I mean, like I've watched some stuff that I'm trying to catch up on, like The Expanse and Mr. Robot. I finally finished watching The Wire, which was really good. Corporate, I went through season 1 to 3 of that. I think season 3 came out in 2020, but I'm not 100%. But shows that I'm pretty sure came out in 2020, now I'm questioning everything, is Devs. That was the Alex Garland sci-fi show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was 8 episodes, and it was on FX, I think it was. But anyway, I really enjoyed that. I really like his stuff. It was just some classic kind of hard sci-fi, and there was a lot more kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, maybe not unreliable narrator, but like there was plans within plans and schemes and schemes. So the show goes in different directions that you might not expect. So, which was enjoyable.
Nice. And Alex Garland did Ex Machina, right?
Yes, and Annihilation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so this was also a project that he wrote and directed.
Nice.
Yeah, so I know, because, Annihilation, of course, wasn't as successful as I assume Hollywood was hoping. And so he's been writing stuff, but he's not directing anything right now. Like, he's writing, I think, the Halo movie when I last looked, but
weird.
Yeah, so no, that's not too weird, because he wrote Dread, and he's done like other video game adaptations, and he's written other video games. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep an eye out for his stuff because I want to support his stuff because I enjoy it.
So they're making a Halo movie?
Yeah, they've been trying to make one for a long time. Back when Halo was super big, Microsoft did this big like kind of thing, and there was going to be 3 studios, and then Peter Jackson was going to be involved, and that's what turned into District 9. And so they've been trying a lot to make a Halo movie.
That's interesting.
But the other show here was Westworld season 3 came out.
Oh yeah.
And I know you haven't seen it. but you saw season 1 and 2. And season 3 for me, so I've done a rewatch on it, and the first episode to me is so good, so strong. It sets up the world, sets up the characters. It's like a mix of Terminator and Blade Runner, and just so good. And I don't think the show lives up to the overall setup. It's still really good, high quality television, but for me, it didn't live up to that kind of what they were going for. Also, Maeve's whole storyline, I didn't really buy her motivation the entire time, but still very enjoyable.
All right.
Of course, Umbrella Academy season 2 came out. We did an episode on that, which was a lot of fun. There was Mando season 2.
Didn't watch it.
I really enjoyed it, and I know. Okay, is it Star Wars here, right? So some people are like, I know. No, but some people are like, oh, there's so much fan service and blah, blah, blah. But it's also like, okay, so they brought back some characters, unexpected characters even to me. And I haven't seen all the expanded stuff. I've read a lot of EU stuff that they all jettisoned, so it's not real anymore. But like, I thought the season was really good. I really enjoyed the story. But here's the thing. You know how there's the child, right? The baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. Yeah.
Exactly. So at the end, huge spoiler here, skip ahead.
Okay.
Luke shows up to take Baby Yoda away.
Wait. Luke?
Yes.
Wait, what? Like Mark Hamill?
Yes.
Oh no, did they digitally de-age him?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that as well. It was interesting because a lot of people are like, dude, you could just get Sebastian Stan. He looks like young Mark Hamill.
Yeah. And Disney already owns him.
Yeah. So, but I'm not, regardless of that, it was cool to have Mark Hamill there and etc. But my point is that he takes Grogu away. So it's like, that's the end of the story. And then I saw some people online, they're like, oh, he can come back or this or that. And I was like, no, that's it. It's over. Grogu storyline done. The Mando, he's grown as a character because of this whole journey. Now to move on to the next story.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my opinion. I hope they do it that way, but I'm not in control. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are. Yeah.
No, the only thing, I hadn't heard that Luke was in it. That's weird. All I had heard was that Boba Fett shows up and that people thought he was fat. That's it.
That's fair. I mean, he's bigger, but it's not like he was.
Well, I saw pictures. I didn't think he was fat. I just thought he looked like muscular. But what do I know?
I don't know. Yeah, and then, so that was kind of something like that. So is that super fan survey? Boba Fett shows up, and I was like, okay. Even I was kind of like, but then they were kind of playing it because he was trying to track down and get his armor back, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Oh, I also know that the Mando took his helmet off, and people were very, very thirsty for the actor.
Well, it's Pedro Pascal.
I don't know who that is.
He was the leader of he's from Game of Thrones. He dies to the mountain in season 5 when he gets crushed and spear combats him.
His head explodes?
Yes.
I don't even remember what he looks like.
If you saw a picture, you'd recognize him anyway. But and in that episode where he takes his helmet off, Bill Burr is in there, and it was probably one of the best character moments because he's across this Imperial guy, and the guy's all talking to him, about sacrifice for troops and everything, and Bill Burr was there, and you could tell it's getting to him kind of thing. So it was really good. Anyway.
Maybe I have to watch it. I haven't even seen the first season.
It's a really good show. It's a lot of fun. It's more episodic. That it's just they're going on adventures, and it's just fun Star Wars world stuff. Like there's classic Seven Samurai stories, and they get somewhere and he needs to get a thing, so someone's just like, hey, go do this thing, and he's like, all right. Just classic stories like that, right? Nice.
I'm so excited for WandaVision. That comes out in 5 days from us recording.
Yes, I'm very excited for it as well.
I'm so glad you have a Disney Plus subscription.
Well, I still have it.
Don't get rid of it till after Loki.
Oh, absolutely. And then the last show I'll mention here was Dark Materials Season 2.
Oh, yeah. You were really into it.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed it. And I know it's a BBC HBO collab. What's interesting to me is, okay, it's obviously 3 books, right? I've read them many years
I've
ago
read
now.
them.
You've read them as well. And I can't remember how the middle portion ends, the subtle knife, not the silent knife, subtle knife ends, because the way the show ended, like initially it was kind of like season 1, book 1, and I was like, okay. But the way this one ended, I was like, wait, are they going to do like 4 seasons? Or are they still doing 3? I don't know.
How did they end it?
So,
Okay, spoilers, fast forward or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so Lyra gets kidnapped by her mom.
Uh-huh.
And then they're just like gone. Oh my gosh, I forget his name now. The bearer of the knife.
Yeah.
Like he meets his dad, and then his dad dies. And then he's still stuck on the Crossroads world. And they did end it with a cool scene with Azrael like meeting people to recruit him for the war, which I was like, that was a cool scene because I don't remember that from the book. Because it's more just he just shows up with everything at the end, right?
Yeah.
And then like the witches
I thought the subtle knife ended with Lyra deciding to stay in her world and her buddy deciding to stay in his.
No, that's the end.
Oh.
That's the whole series. Because I thought the subtle knife ends with them on the world that they find the amber spyglass. But I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I'd have to reread them. I remember the subtle knife was my favorite of the 3.
I mean, I'm planning on either reading them this year or waiting till the show is done and then doing a reread. I'm contemplating going back and forth on that. I digress. The show was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I mean, Daphne Keane, I think, is really, really good. The other kid, she plays the opposite. Will, that's his name. He does a lot of like eyebrow acting, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, he's kind of young, so I'm like, whatever. But everyone else also, I think, is really good. And really well made, enjoyable to watch. And I mean, I got a whole other section of animated shows. That was live action television.
Okay, I'll go through my list really quick.
Sure, what do you got?
I can't remember that much.
Sure.
Oh, okay, so obviously I watched season 12 of Drag Race and season 5 of All Stars. Yeah, that's whatever. People can assume that. Although I haven't watched anything of season 13 yet.
Oh, really? Well, and I was going to ask, was there kind of a slowdown because of maybe pandemic stuff? Because I know that they usually have a lot more of spin-offs as well.
Well, no, you know what? Honestly, I haven't watched it yet because I feel like I have Drag Race fatigue.
Sure. Got to take a break once in a while.
Because last year, did it come out? I can't remember if it came out at the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020. But there was Drag Race UK season 1. And then Drag Race season 12, like the regular. And then right after season 12 ended, we went into Drag Race All Stars season 5.
Yeah.
And so that was over late summer, I feel like. Because season 12 ended in June because it ended the same day that like the BLM protests started in the States.
Yeah, which was in the summer.
Yeah, so yeah, June-ish, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got Drag Race fatigue. I'm sure I'd enjoy it if I watched it, but season 5 of All Stars was very like, let's try this new gimmick, and we need to try another gimmick, and let's do this gimmick, right? So I don't know, I'm just kind of like, it was all right.
Well, I mean, just from a pure kind of, as you're saying, standpoint, if there's been just so much that
There's so much.
What do you do to keep it fresh to, bring back audience and stuff like that, right? So as you say, trying out gimmicks or stuff, but if it's not working, you take a break, maybe come back. It's all good.
Yeah. I got rid of my Out TV subscription, so I don't know, when I might come back around to it, but not right now.
Yeah.
So that came out early in the year. Too Hot to Handle came out, which was a reality show on Netflix, and it's really bad. You probably shouldn't watch it. It was really stupid. I watched the whole thing, obviously.
Right.
And it's a show where attractive people are on a beach together. Yeah, and they're not supposed to have sex.
Right. But they're like hanging out?
Well, now I'm having I can't even remember if that was the premise, but it was a lot of hot, vapid people doing stupid things.
All right.
Then in the end, they decided that they all won. They all got to split the money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one person got kicked off, and that was it. There was somebody from Vancouver on it, too.
Oh.
She was really hot. She was probably the hottest of the too hot to handle.
Fair enough.
Next, Tiger King. We did an episode on it. I didn't like it. Everybody else did.
Right, yeah.
I watched the Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich documentary series on Netflix. It's a waste of your time to watch it.
All right.
The thing is, I think most people are familiar with Jeffrey Epstein now, right?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how detached you are from news. But
yeah,
yes.
he was running a weird pedophile sex ring.
Yes.
For lack of a better description. He had a plane called the Lolita Express.
Yes.
That they just stretched that out over like 10 episodes. That's it. There wasn't any. I was expecting a more. You know what it is that you're wrong about. The podcast has completely spoiled me for other things, and I'm like, no, I want to know about the, autobiography that his secretary's cousin's daughter wrote about the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a waste of time to watch that.
Right. Or it just sounds like they could have condensed it and it would have been fine.
They could have condensed it into one sentence. He was a creep. The end.
Sure. No, but I just mean like, yeah, it could have been like a 1 or 2 episode thing or a longer documentary and it would have been like, okay. Didn't have to be 10 hours or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Next on my list is She-Ra. We already did an episode about it, but I really recommended it. Thought it was great.
Yeah. So to piggyback on that, so it's on, of course, because I watched season 1, and I do plan on continuing to watch the show.
Excellent. When you're finished, we should do an episode on it.
Yeah, could do a longer deep dive.
I'll rewatch it, because that's how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Wait. Season 1. Is the princess prom in that season?
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that episode so much.
It was pretty good.
Scorpia is my favorite character. Anyways, okay. Season 4 of The Crown came out.
Yeah, I know. I've seen things about it, and you've talked about it as well.
Yeah, it was all right. The actress that plays Diana was very, very good and very convincing as Diana. I do think, like, thinking back on it, I do feel like they went for, the director is even quoted as saying, it's like, we're not going for truth, we're not going for accuracy, we're going for truth.
Interesting.
So, like, I guess they're just trying to get the general feeling. But, I mean, obviously, unless you're part of that family, you're not going to be able to say whether that's true or not.
Yeah.
I don't think they made Diana crazy enough because she had a lot more issues than they portrayed.
Yeah.
That's my criticism of The Crown. And Umbrella Academy we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're aware, but Elliot Page came out as trans.
Yes.
Did you hear? Yeah, which is cool, and they're going to keep him in the show for season 3.
Yeah.
Which is neat. It'll be interesting to see if that changes, like if Vanya also becomes trans, or if they're going to keep her as Vanya, or anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm also curious to see what the plan is.
Yeah. Little Fires Everywhere is the last show that I remember watching in 2020, which starred Reese Witherspoon and Jonathan Jackson. It's set in... Did I talk about this already?
No, I don't know anything about this.
Okay, so it's based off a best-selling novel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's set in
kind of the mid-90s. It does a really good job of showing white privilege, I guess.
Interesting.
I don't want to turn into the social justice warrior hour, but sometimes I sound like that, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. Some stuff's important, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But anyways, it's about an upper middle class white family, which Reese Witherspoon is the mother of, and Jonathan Jackson's her husband, and then it contrasts that with a single mother and daughter that are Black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Reese Witherspoon is so good at it. She's just always trying to like overcompensate for being white, and like she's trying so hard, like her character's trying so hard to not be racist while still kind of being racist.
Right. Is there like converging storylines? Do they work at the same place? Like what even is the show about?
So the show starts with Reese Witherspoon sees that this mother and daughter is living out of their car in like a parking lot, and she calls the police on them.
Oh.
But then she ends up renting their second house to them and learns a little bit of their story. So she hires the mom as she wants to hire her as a maid, but the lady's like, I'm not a maid, I'm an artist. I do these cool like art things. And she's like, oh, then you can be our like house manager.
Okay.
So as far as I can tell, she like pays her, but like she doesn't really, she makes some dinner sometimes, I guess. The point is, it kind of just contrasts the two families, and it shows how like, even though like Reese Witherspoon is not really a great mom, but neither is this other lady. It's really complicated to explain without giving away the end, and the end was so like blindsiding to me that like I wouldn't want to spoil it for anyone.
Sure. So you really enjoyed it and would recommend it?
Yeah, it was really, really well done. I would recommend it. It's good.
Cool.
It's about, I don't know, if you have like, it's about complicated mother-children relationships, and it's complicated like different races, relationships and stuff. I don't know. It was good. It might not be your style of show though.
No, but it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. It just like, there's some parts where you're like, oh, that looks so bad when you're watching it from the outside.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all I can remember watching that came out this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sticking with some shows. Like I said, I got some animated stuff here. We did BoJack season 6.
Does that come out this year?
I think it came out in 2020 because it's written on my list.
Whoa. You know, this year, like 2020 has just been so weird that like I don't even know how time works anymore.
No, it was very weird as well. Just like everything felt so compressed, and then it just shot away at the end when the summer showed up. But we did Harley Quinn season 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
You haven't seen season 2?
Not yet.
Yes, but I did enjoy the second season and would recommend that. And then, I talked about Action. I did season 1 and 2 of that. And Primal, which I did a solo recording about, and that's Genndy Tartakovsky, who did Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah. I couldn't remember the name of it, but I was trying to tell my dad. I'm like, yeah, the Samurai Jack guy did another show.
Yeah. So they split it up. So season 1 aired in 2019, the first half of season 1 aired in 2019. Let me rephrase that. And then the second half aired in 2020. I watched it all just in 2020, but highly recommend, especially if you like his stuff or animated shows, especially.
Nice. Wasn't there like an Uma Thurman movie that came out called Primal too?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think there was, and it's about her, or was it Gwyneth Paltrow? It's about her dating her therapist's son.
Interesting.
Right?
I honestly,
that up?
You could be pitching a movie right now, Devin.
Podcasts?
Sure, we can do that. Or I want to talk about some books as well. And
Sure.
yeah. What do you got?
For books or podcasts?
Either or.
So for books, I didn't read a lot this year, but I did read the first Dresden book, which I talked about.
Yeah.
And I read a bunch of romance because that's what I like.
Yeah, that's all right.
None of it came out this year for romance, but I like going to like Value Village and getting the like 50-cent Harlequin romance books, like especially if they're really old.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say for the books and stuff like that, the year they came out is not 2020 for me either. It's when I read them.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of reading personally. I listened to more podcasts than anything.
Yeah, my reading dropped as well because I read a lot when I'm traveling for work and eating lunch at work, and then of course I was not at work for a large chunk of the year.
Yeah.
So, well, for myself, I just wanted some notables. Like Dead Astronauts was really good. That's from the guy. His name's Jess Vandermeer, I think it is. He's the guy who wrote the Southern Reach trilogy, which Annihilation was based off of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, his stuff's really weird, but very enjoyable. I also read that Old Man's War series, finished that. The Salvation, trilogy, which the last book did come out last year. I'm waiting to get it from the library right now. And I've mentioned some of these other ones, but also some of the nonfiction stuff I really enjoyed. Bad Blood, which I read way back in January, was about that machine that was supposed to do blood tests, and it all went weird. It was Silicon Valley, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last kind of like 3 that I read in the year, which was Moneyland, Dark Money, and then Putin's Kleptocracy, all about how the rich steal money.
Nice.
Yeah, they were all very enjoyable, good reads, also very terrifying because you're like, oh, especially I think it was Moneyland because it was published in I think 2016 kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about things and this and that, and then as it's only 4 years later, but I'm like, oh no, that's already gone, man. We lost. Also, nice. I really enjoyed The Mosquito, which was an interesting look at the mosquito and human history. And it was kind of it was written by a Canadian historian, and it was interesting because it actually has some good history lessons in there, or just about human history, but it was about how the mosquito shaped it. So I really enjoyed that book as well. Yeah, and then some comics I read. Let's talk real quick. Injection Volume 1 to 3. House of X, Powers of X, they were 2019, but then the special edition came out like just before Christmas or just after Christmas of 2019, and I managed to pick that up and read those. And that was probably my favorite X-Men. Like, I don't read X-Men comics, but I read these and they were really good. It was like a new kind of take on them and had a neat storyline of just Moira McTaggart, her mutant powers were reincarnation. And it's
I remember you talking about this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It follows her different lives, and then like way into the future so they can try to find out like how mutants can win and survive and stuff. It was really cool, a really neat take. And like I read Saga finally, Tome, which was really good, the Hawkeye. I know I've mentioned these here back and forth kind of thing, but some good comics as well. None of them I don't think came out in 2020. Maybe Injection, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's talk about some podcasts. Sure.
So my favorite podcast is You're Wrong About. I mean, my second favorite, because obviously ours is my favorite.
You don't even listen to our show.
I know. Sometimes I do, and I never remember what I say in our show.
Yeah.
So I'll listen to an episode and I'll be like, what am I talking about? What nice. Demon possessed me for this episode? Yeah. But yeah, my favorite podcast is You're Wrong About. And if you haven't listened to it, you should check it out because it's really good. I get everybody hooked on it. I got you to listen to it. My mom listens to it. I got Walter to listen to it. So
It's really great, and I've also mentioned it to people as well. And it was funny because I was watching some talking about Red Letter Media, an old review, and I didn't catch it way back when I watched the episode before. But in the Exorcist one, Josh talks about, he's like, "Oh yeah, this podcast you're wrong about. They did an episode about the Exorcist," and I was like, "Yeah, I've listened to that."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I also agree. You're wrong about great content, worth the listen.
They have a sister podcast called Maintenance Phase, which I also really enjoy. It's Michael Hobbs and Aubrey Gordon, and it's about like diet myths basically and fat phobia and stuff. I listened to the 2 seasons of The Dream this year. The first season was about MLMs, and the second one was about wellness, and that's really great.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you talking about it. It sounded quite interesting.
I started listening to Lolita kind of towards the end of 2020, which is a podcast about the book Lolita.
Yeah.
It's okay. I find that sometimes when I'm listening to it, because I've been walking to work, which takes me about an hour and 10 minutes. And if I'm listening to it on the way to work, I will zone out for like 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
I find it a little bit like her voice just kind of lulls me into like zone out mode. But I think it's worth checking out. But sometimes I find it hard to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
These, like, I guess since the American election, I've been listening to Pod Save America again because I'm just trying to. And The Daily occasionally, because I'm just trying to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, I was looking at maybe listening to the other one that he does, Pod Save the World. Have you listened to any of that?
Yeah, it's like, I haven't listened to that one. I've only listened to Pod Save America.
Because I was thinking of trying to listen to something that's not America focused, but...
Oh, God, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but, because so I'm interested. Like, is Pod Save America, then you actually really enjoy it and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 guys. I think it's 3 guys. Maybe it's 4. But they all worked for Obama when Obama was president.
Yeah, I know that. I know the main guy was like, he was definitely an Obama guy, and he started the podcast.
Yeah, and like they started it in 2016 because they wanted to offer like a different take on, or like
on the events or whatever.
Yeah, different media available for people. Does that make sense? Because they were like upset about Fox News and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I enjoy listening to them. If there's nothing going on, they get a little bit grating. But like I kind of tune in if, like when people storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what did they think about this?
Yeah.
Which was really interesting because they're like, we worked there, like we had to go there in a post 9/11 world, and there was so much security.
Yeah.
We don't understand how this happened.
Yeah, not to get too political, but I also don't understand how more people didn't die in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want people to die like that.
No.
So I'm glad that it was, what was it, 5 people died?
Yes, so far 5, yeah.
One of them was a police officer.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard about the woman who was shot, but it was really sad.
Yeah, I have definitely heard about the woman who got shot.
Because, like, she was in the army. She was, like, a veteran, right?
Yeah.
And then she got radicalized by QAnon.
Yep.
Which is just, I don't know. It's like... I mean, like, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, I don't think that anybody really takes great care of veterans. Like, they don't really offer them the right services when they get back for their mental health.
Nope.
I know, yeah, you know this.
Yeah.
In Canada or the States, right? So it's like, if it wasn't QAnon, it might have been alcohol or drugs or something else, right? Like,
yeah.
It's very sad to me. The whole situation is very sad to me, but.
Uh-huh.
So I don't want anybody to die.
Yeah.
It's surprising that the number was that low. Yeah, I don't want to get too political. So I guess I'll just stop talking. But if you are looking for like a political reaction to things that happen in the States, then I recommend Pod Save America. So
Yeah, no, well, like I said, I was curious because I was looking at some of their episodes about Pod Save the World that I was like, oh, I wonder, are these guys worth listening to, kind of thing.
they have the funniest ad breaks. They have to read a script,
Sure.
like with like the ad copy, but like they'll all interrupt each other.
Yeah.
And they're basically making fun of whatever product they're selling the whole time. But it works. So
it's more authentic.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah, that's basically what I've been listening to. The Daily is just the New York Times daily podcast. So again, like I pop in and out of that one. I was listening to it every day, but I don't need to listen to the news every day. I don't think it's very good for my mental well-being.
Well, that was like I was listening to what was it called? It was like a global news one, and then they would expand a little bit on news topics, and it's just, especially during the pandemic, there was just so much about the same thing that I was like, okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's like I can come back to it if I need to.
The Daily had a really good episode after the Capitol storming. Sure. Because they had interviews with press who were in the building when it happened. So it kind of, and because they all have phones, right? So they're all like recording while they're getting like shepherded into the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to listen to.
Cool.
Because basically no one knew what was going on.
No, it was quite chaotic.
Okay, enough about that. What are your top podcasts of 2020?
Well, for me, it's kind of similar stuff that...
Wait, I forgot one.
Okay, what do you got?
Magnus Archive. Magnus... What is it called?
I don't know.
Magnus Archives by Rusty Quill. And it's kind of like... It's like episodic horror, but with an overall storyline involving the archivist. Okay, now I'm done. Your turn.
Oh, no, okay. No, I remember you talked about that one as well on the show.
I fell out of it a little bit, but I'm going to probably, once it's all finished being uploaded, I'll probably listen to it then. Well,
and of course, the great thing with the internet is that it's all there still, so it's not a big deal. You drop down, you can go back. Because like I was saying, so I still listen to the Weekly Planet, but I purposely stay about a year back, right?
Nice.
So because they talk about movie trailers and stuff like that. So stuff I don't want to know, but I kind of stay, like the episode I just listened to yesterday, in fact, was about The Irishman. So, yeah, so I stay back purposely on that. Of course, like you mentioned, You're Wrong About. I've caught up to publishing on that, and now I'm just like, why do I have to wait?
This is bullshit. Make episodes every day.
Yeah, well, and so I was kind of searching for similar podcasts in that vein, and I kind of stumbled on this one, which is more recent. It's called Whatever Happened To, and it's put out by Global. So I was trying to get I was trying to find like a Canadian version of that show, essentially.
Nice.
And this was pretty good so far. There's only been 4 episodes as of I'm recording now, but she kind of does the same idea where she talks about topics like the Fukushima Daiichi disaster. So we have the benefit of hindsight and be like, what really happened, right?
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this when we went out for lunch a while ago on your birthday.
So I think there's some stuff there. Like the next episode I'm going to listen to is about SARS. So it's like, okay, that's kind of could be interesting.
Can I tell you like a side story?
Oh, okay.
When I was in high school, that's when SARS happened.
Yeah.
And there was this girl named Sarah. Everyone started calling her SARS.
I was about to say, I see where this story's going.
That's it. That's my story. Very bad nickname.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Let's see, like just the standard stuff I listen to, like the ongoing history of new music, because if you can't catch it on the radio, they got podcast versions of that. I love that show. And I got into this is kind of funny. The reason I got into A-Lab was because she mentioned it, Lindsay Ellis, and I was like, oh, what is this? Something about it got mentioned by her and somewhere else. I saw it, and I was like, okay, maybe I should check this out. And it's three lawyers down in the States, and they may be on and off about what they practice. Like, I don't think one guy practices law anymore. But it's just basically them talking about the American justice / legal profession and how messed up it is.
Nice.
And my favorite conceit about their show is that they're like, no lawyer wants to actually dirty their hands and practice law. So they talk about like lawyers, about how they like, so they do an episode about Kavanaugh and how he uses all his connections to basically never practice law, but somehow becomes a judge and then a Supreme Court judge, right?
Oh my God. I have to remember to listen to this. I'm going to put it in my phone right now so I don't forget.
Yeah, actually, I highly recommend, especially if you have any kind of minor knowledge about lawyers and how they and law firms and how it all kind of works, and which I have a small amount of knowledge, and you do too. But it's just kind of also funny because they talk about lawyer brain, and so they focus on lawyers, and the conceit there again is that, or the thesis is that as a lawyer, you're an expert, and then that kind of makes lawyers think they're experts about everything.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so then they talk about some lawyers that basically they took it way too far with the lawyer brain.
Oh, I'm excited to listen to this.
So yeah, there's only 19 episodes. I did skip the episode where they talk about the Wolf fan fiction fight because Lindsay Ellis kind of did her 2 episodes about it, and I was like, okay, I think I got the gist of it. So, but everything else, I've really enjoyed that show.
Although, I do have to admit, there's something about petty fandom fights.
Yeah.
That are just I don't know why I find it so. I guess it's like beauty guru drama. I don't know. There's something that just draws me in immediately. I'm like, ooh, tell me everything.
Yeah. No, I was literally about to say that. I was like, we did an episode about it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
At some point, yes.
People listen to it. I gotta tell you, listen. At some point, I'll have to do some refreshing.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you about the crazy drama of mukbangs.
Yeah. I drop in and out on episodes of Do Go On, which is a trivia podcast, and they talk about a topic, and it's 3 comedians, and they just kind of, one of them does a research report, and then the other 2 learn, and they make jokes and riff about it. It's quite actually informative. The last one I listened to, again, this is older in their archive, was about Charlie Chaplin, and it was very informative, very interesting. I was about to say, talking about some stuff about America. Have you heard about a podcast called Knowledge Fight?
No.
So I stumbled onto this, and it's 2 dudes. One's a comedian, and I think the other one was a comedian at some point, but he doesn't do that anymore. But it's basically, so here's the show.
Okay.
One guy literally watches Alex Jones and then takes it and breaks down the show, and then the 2 of them get together and then they record and talk about it. And one guy, so he knows what the show was about and what happened, and the other guy has no idea. And then it's just them talking through an episode. So I went back, I stumbled in to the episode in December, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. So I went back and I've listened to their episodes since the election down there, since November, beginning of November, let's say. And the episode that just came out was the episode that happened after the Capitol storming. But the Alex Jones episode was the episode of the day of that happening. So it's insane, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh my God, I'm totally going to listen to that. Not only because, I have a weird fascination with Alex Jones, but because that format of somebody having knowledge and explaining it to another person is my favorite format ever. That's why I love telling you about shows and drama you don't care about.
Yeah, well, and the one guy he does a really good job, because Alex Jones, for example, will reference an article and, be something ridiculous, people are dying because they're getting microchipped or something. And then the guy he's like, okay, so I read the article and here's what it said, and literally break it down, because they coined this phrase, and it's my favorite phrase. is the Info Warriors lore.
Okay.
Because that's basically what Alex Jones and the right-wing media, but his specifically like builds. And so when he says, like Alex Jones, for example, will say something, he's like, no, man, now you're contradicting your own lore. Anyway, so I haven't listened. I mean, I've listened to quite a bit of it, but it's pretty insanity peppers for sure. And then, yeah, I drop in and out on the Dice Tower, which is about board games. And, you know, one of my favorite topics. I kind of have to drop in and out because otherwise I'll end up buying too many board games.
A huge problem.
Very much a huge problem. And, yeah, I don't know. That's really kind of about it.
Cool.
For podcasts for me. Like I say, I kind of maybe once in a while I'll listen to like something and test it out. And I'm one of those people, it's like if I like it, then I'll go back to the beginning almost, or as far back as like I kind of figure it's a good point.
Yeah. Oh my God, me too.
Because like I was looking at one, or like I think maybe that Pod Save America, and I was like, oh, maybe I should, or yeah, I was like, should I go back to 2016 and start at the beginning? And I was like, I don't know, that seems too much.
I would honestly, what I would do is scroll through to like news events that you thought was interesting and then just get their take on it. Because like when I was first listening to it in like 2019, I got really into it and I was listening to like, because they put out 2 episodes a week, sometimes 3.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And it got to the point where like, you know, like Game of Thrones ended and they did a episode on that, and I was like, that's not what I'm listening to them for specifically. Yeah, you're wanting more political news type stuff, right? Yeah, well, not even news, just like their take on it, right? Like it's because like in the Storming the Capitol episode, for example, they go through what would be necessary to invoke Article 25. No, Amendment
25th
20.
Amendment. Yeah.
Thank you. What would be involved to do that and how they could go about it and what would be beneficial and what wouldn't be beneficial. And they talk about like impeachment and whether or not they should go forward with that. And again, what would be beneficial and what wouldn't.
Well, and I was going to say as well, when, so like A-Lab, so I tried to find like a Canadian version of that because I was like, oh, you know, American justice system, Canadian justice system. We have different justice systems. But so I listened to about 3-4 episodes of this one podcast, and it was 2 lawyers. One's also a law professor. And I was like, okay, but it just didn't really kind of capture me. So kind of dropped it. But I think like you're saying is like I went back through their catalog and found topics or episodes about a topic that like they did one about the marijuana laws. And I was like, okay, that could be interesting. That's something I'm interested in. What do they got? Right.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't really continue on because I was like, I'm not taking it.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I did want to mention a couple video games.
Oh, yeah. I bought a video game today.
Yeah.
I bought Quest for Glory Collection 1 through 5.
Time for some glory.
Oh, I played World of Warcraft this year.
The classic?
Yeah. I stopped though because like I don't have time for that.
Or do you have time for that?
Well, like in like peak pandemic time when I wasn't really working that much, that's when I was playing World of Warcraft.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much their subs went up during that 6-month chunk.
Yeah, it was like they just came out with an expansion this year too, or in 2020, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, what video games do you like?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned them as we record, but the 2 I wanted to really kind of talk about was Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah.
Because I did a 100% playthrough on Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the second one of the new trilogy, and then the third one, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I hadn't played before, but I picked it up, I think in the fall sale or something. It was on cheap. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's kind of the end of the story that they were telling, but I would hope that they would continue to make games in this vein with the Tomb Raider, with Lara, because they were really good games and very enjoyable, but I don't think that the third one especially maybe sold as well as they want, so they might not, because even the first one, it sold like 5 million copies or something like that in at some point, but they considered it, they were like, oh, it was a failure. And it was like, no, that's like a lot of people bought your video game.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But because Square Enix is their publisher, and I know they were focused on that Avengers game. So I don't know if I didn't look too deep, but I don't think tertiarily I've heard that they've announced that they're going to make another one of these, which is unfortunate because I enjoyed the story. The funniest thing about it, though, is because she's Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, but it's a video game. And so you murder so many people. And like there's certain points of the game where like I was laughing because like one of the guard guys was like scared of something and she's like, oh, what are they scared of? I'm like, you, Lara, if they know you're in the area. You've murdered so many of them. But then the supporting character at one point was getting all mad at her about something. And he's all like, what makes you think this is real? And I was like, dude, in the last game, you got shot and healed by Jesus. Like, I'm pretty sure whatever she's going on is probably real.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, just stuff like that makes me kind of like laugh in a meta way where it's like, what are you talking about, dude? But the games are supremely well made, and I really enjoyed them. The third one, you could see there was a little bit of sloppiness. Maybe they were trying to rush it out, or that because there was a new game engine, because the third one looks 20 times better than the other two. But I don't know. Yeah, they were a lot of fun, and I would recommend all three of the games if you haven't played them to anybody out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tony bought the Untitled Goose Game for the PS4 the other day.
Nice.
I haven't played it yet, but I will give you a full report when I do, because you know that I'm going to enjoy playing a goose that annoys people.
Was that made by the same guys who made the glitchy goat game?
I don't know. It's like an independent company.
Yeah, because a few years ago there was a game that came out where you were like a goat running around through places, and it was like glitchy, and again it was the same kind of idea where you're just like annoying people and smashing stuff. But like one of the selling points was they're like, this game is super glitchy because like you'll hit a table and it'll like, you know, shatter into 1,000 pieces or glitch you out or something weird would happen.
That sounds amazing. It was done by House.
Yeah, I'm not 100% off the top of my head. But I hope you enjoy honking at some people.
You know that I will. Oh yeah, they did Goat Simulator.
There he is. Yeah, Goat Simulator.
There we go.
So that you could check that one out after you've played some goose.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode on the intricate story of Untitled Goose Game.
But yeah, that's kind of I mean, like I got more books and blah blah blah, but I know I've mentioned many of them. But that was kind of main thing. The main thing that was kind of comical is, like I was saying in the beginning, that because theater shut down, I didn't see any movies in the theater.
Yep.
Which made me sad because I enjoy movies in the theater.
Yeah, it was a weird year.
Yeah.
And now it's over.
Yes. I mean, the year technically is over, but not the situation we're in.
What are you looking forward to in 2021?
Oh, man, I haven't even looked. I don't even know.
WandaVision.
Yeah, I guess. I'm definitely looking forward to WandaVision.
And the Loki show.
Is that that's coming out this year?
I don't know when it's coming out. Not soon enough.
Well, it was just so interesting. Yeah, because it was like it was supposed to come out already, right? Like many of these Marvel shows. So
like WandaVision was supposed to come out in 2020.
Yeah. But
they pushed it. And I thought the was it the Winter Soldier and the Falcon?
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out before WandaVision, but that got pushed back too.
Yeah, that's right.
But Loki has a trailer now.
Well,
so I don't know, it might come out before. Owen Wilson's in it.
Interesting.
Playing himself. No.
I mean, he is,
Owen
yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen that? Somebody does a breakdown of his wows, and basically he makes like $250,000 per wow or something like that.
That is great.
Yeah, like they broke down like all his dialogue, and it's like how many times he says it in his movies and what he got paid, and it's like they found his rate per wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Loki comes out in May.
Oh, cool.
I just looked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, obviously, like I'm looking forward to seeing Bond and Black Widow, but they were all pushed back. Dune, of course, that was pushed back. So if they're coming out this year, I'm there. But who knows what's even happening, because like Apple tried to buy Bond to put it on their streaming service, and they were like, we'll only sell it to you for like $500 million or something stupid like that. I think it was like 250 or something, but you know, something ridiculous, because they're like, well, we use the theaters to recoup our costs, right? Like, so
yeah, that's
I don't even know. Also, one thing like I was talking about briefly with you is that Disney Plus, it's interesting because obviously they bought Fox after they had started to, or launched even Disney Plus, but it's like they kind of snookered themselves by calling it Disney Plus, because now they have all this Fox content, and what are they doing with that? Like, if they could have fed some of that into their streaming service, that would probably really drive a lot more subscribers. Like, so if they just,
I don't think they're hurting.
I don't think so as well, but I think they're not at their goal, right?
No, good point.
So it's like,
also Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes out in March 2021.
Okay, cool.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. Like, if they're doing it, I'm there. But my point was just going to be that it's like either it's called Disney Plus, and then they have, you know, another section you click on, and it's like, here's all this Fox content, so it could be like child locked or whatever, or they could have called it another name to then include all this Fox content.
Yeah, they should have just called it Plus.
Yeah. Well, because they have their cartoons, right? Because like X-Men the Animated, I've been watching that right now. Like, that was a Fox cartoon, but they don't have like Fox movies specifically, is my point, on there yet. Anyway. But I am looking forward to like all that kind of stuff, but I don't know what's happening, because HBO Max, of course, was supposed to then stream like Dune and all these other movies, but some of the directors are pushing back on it because they're like, what are you talking about? You can't just take my movie and do that. So it's all up in the air. And of course, Wonder Woman came out, and that had that model. And
yeah, it's been getting not great reviews.
I know, I'm sad about that.
I haven't watched it yet because it's $30 to rent it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm kind of like, I was either going to go see it in theater, or I'll just wait. But I've also heard that it doesn't live up, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I wish it was as good as the first one.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Was there anything else that stood out for you for 2021?
Mostly just low-key. I just want to see Tom Hiddleston be sexy. My brain, I feel like 2020 made me like 36% stupider than I was the year before. I'm very just like, I want to see hot people now.
Fair enough.
I don't care about intricate storylines. Just show me hot people doing hot things.
Want to escape from the real world, and everyone's got different methods, or what you want to see. It's all good.
Yeah, I want to run far, far away from anything that makes me think or feel.
Yeah. It's all about that escapism.
Yep. Pretty much. That's all I have to say about that. I guess we should wrap up on that very pleasant, happy note.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on social media at Tome of Uselessness, website, tomeofuselessness.com. Email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com, if you want us to do something specific. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounded about right.
Okay. Do all those things. Rate and review us on iTunes. Tell all your friends to listen to us.
As always, stay safe and thanks for listening.
Bye.